Hello. Today we're going to focus on first-degree price discrimination, otherwise known as perfect price discrimination, as is the case in this specific question. Before we dive in, let's take a look at exactly what first-degree price discrimination means. To conceptualize, let's think about a scenario where consumers walk into a store with their exact willingness to pay posted above their head. So, for instance, let's say Target were a monopoly and each of us are going to buy bananas from them. I would walk into the store with $1 posted above my head because I'm willing to pay $1 per banana. Let's say you are willing to pay $2 per banana. You would walk into Target with that $2 floating above your head. Each other consumer would walk in with their respective willingness to pay posted above their head. As such, Target can take that information and charge each unique consumer their exact willingness to pay, thus being perfect price discrimination. This means not only do they capture the entire producer surplus or the profit that they would have made from the production of this good in a perfect competitive market, but also they receive all of the consumer surplus as well, because they charge you your exact max willingness to pay. Let's take a look at this specific question. So we have a demand curve, P equals 500 minus Q over 2, and a supply curve of the marginal cost equaling 2Q. First, with first-degree price discrimination, we're going to assume for a second that P is equal to MC, but we're going to capture both the consumer surplus and producer surplus. This is a little bit different than our maximizing condition for a normal monopoly, which would be marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Let's take a look at our graph. So it's always good to conceptualize first-degree price discrimination with the graph. We're going to put price here, quantity on the x-axis, and we're going to graph out this demand curve. So we're going to start with 500 and have a downward slope of 1/2. So 500 here, downward slope of 1/2 means our quantity will be 1,000 on this side. Okay, so this is our demand curve as given to us from the question. And the supply curve will be MC equals 2Q. That's going to be an upward sloping supply curve, a little bit steep because we're doing 2Q, and will be somewhere around here. Okay, as for our quantity that we're going to end up with, it's going to be this intersection point right here between our demand and supply curve. As such, let's set our P equal to our MC, or in other words, 500 minus Q over 2 equals 2Q. Add Q over 2 to both sides, we get 500 equals 2.5Q. So our quantity under this first-degree price discrimination monopolist is going to be 200. For the purposes of this question, that's where we would stop, and we would say answer choice B is correct. But let's take a look at the interpretation here. So for our producer surplus under perfect price discrimination and under competitive equilibrium, we would be this triangle right here, right? This would be unchanged either way. That's our producer surplus. But our consumer surplus is this upper triangle, the area above the price, but below the demand curve. Seeing as this monopolist knows each individual's exact max willingness to pay, they will charge exactly that much to each person, meaning this entire consumer surplus also goes to the producer. So consumer surplus turns into producer surplus. This means the producer's total surplus will be the orange triangle here, this entire both consumer surplus and producer surplus.